And as you remind yourself from time to time during this week that the I, the self, is not the body, and be in the witness mode, witnessing your whole experience like a movie. It is a movie, a hologram. That's even one of our current theories, that all of this is a hologram. As you're doing that with great detachment, you'll begin to see the humor in everything. You will hear God's laughter very subtly behind the scenes of every event, every moment. And how subtle that humor is. And if you attune yourself to God's sense of humor, you will never stop laughing. And that's really part of the reason why it's so blissful, is the joy of the perfection of all that is. Even watching egos struggle to try to make it better and to worry about it becomes very humorous, as long as you're not one of those strugglers. But you find that it's a beautiful humor that isn't laughing at anyone because you recognize yourself in everyone, but a joy that is healing, that can take away the pain of those who still believe that this is real, this world of Maya. And when you understand that that substratum of the divine love that is what is real in this world permeates it and ultimately is all of these forms and all of these processes and is time and space itself, then there is a final letting go of any sense of being a doer. And everything happens by itself. And it's that final letting go of the sense of I. First you have to let go of the thoughts, I am this, I am that, or I have to do this, or oh, do I have to do that, or all of those things, all of those resistances. But then you're letting go at an even deeper level of the concept of I. And finally, everything that has to do with being a separate being merges into the beingness, the supreme being of all that is. And there's no longer anyone there. But there is one who is there, and that one who used to be considered God or Allah or Brahman or Shiva or whatever name, that Christ consciousness is the self. But it's no big deal, and there's nobody you want to tell that to. Like, oh wow, you got to hear what, because you realize that you'd only be telling yourself anyway. Which may take the fun away for the ego, but everyone already knows. You already all know all of this. So I don't want to waste your time anymore since you know all of this. But give yourself permission to know this all consciously. And not entertain doubts. And the main thing, the hardest thing and the most important thing is do not believe your own mind. Because your own mind will try to resist this and fight this and give you 1,000 reasons. Either it's already doing it at this moment or it'll do it later, of why this can't be true for me. Or, it's easy for everyone else, but for me it's going to be hard. I can predict it'll be hard. And of course, if you predict it'll be hard, it'll be hard. Because consciousness is all that is. And so if you have directed your consciousness to believe that for me it's hard, then you're going to enjoy how hard it is. And so if you're going to make any prediction at all, make the prediction that this is instantaneous bliss. For me, this is the easiest thing in the world. I was born for bliss. Okay? Because you are. That's the truth. You weren't even born. And in that realization then, that your own mind isn't your own mind, because you weren't born with a mind. It was imposed. And everything that you think of as your own thoughts, when you look at them very carefully, you will realize, oh, that's my mother's thought. That's my father's. That's my first grade teacher's. That's my professor in college. That's my next door neighbor. That's my husband or wife. And all of your thoughts are not your thoughts. They are all imposed and were put into your mind. And your mind was programmed, socialized, adapted, determined by these outside forces that wanted to control you for reasons that had nothing to do with your own good, but for your belonging to a social order that would then determine what you want, what you desire. And so within the ego, the problem is your own desires aren't really your own desires. And so very few people know the real desires of their own heart, because all that comes up are the programmed desires of the ego mind. Even if they're the desires you've held for years, you think, oh no, I'm going to be a dancer, or I'm going to have a child and be a great mother, and I'm going to do this. It may be that that's your grandmother's desire for you that you took in. Okay? It may be your desire, but first of all, make the mind completely silent. And then the heart's desire will come up out of their beingness, not out of an ego identity. It won't come out of that. It will be a spontaneous flowing toward a certain state of being. And the action will happen, but it won't be you doing it. It will all be God, being God in whatever way that godness comes to fruition in the life of that organism. But it will be a complete detachment from the need to have things be a certain way and be achieved at a certain time and all of that. And that freedom will make whatever is to happen in your life beautiful, whatever it is. And your life will become a work of art and joyous. So for this week, give yourself permission to let go of all the agendas for your life. Okay? Is everyone willing to do that? Yeah? And then discover from within what, not your heart, but the heart of the universe, which is your heart, wants to give you as the gift of this existence. And once that rebirth has happened as the divine self that you are, you can never go back to the ego. It's done. But the divinity and the beauty and the infinity of your being, the vastness, keeps growing. There will always be more joy, more to learn, more love, more insight. The growth never stops. And that's why we talk about the fact that you will never be the master of reality. Master's discourse is always an illusion. You will never know all there is to know. But you will be all that is real. It's the beingness that is the real knowledge. The knowledge that all of this is one. But all of the details and the fine print and all of the corollaries of this, all of the geometric theorems that arise out of this truth, and all of the infinite beauty that brings will be constantly, extraordinarily, exquisitely beautiful and new in every moment. And that's why this state that we're talking about is totally free from boredom. The ego gets bored very easily, but there's no boredom in the divine self. So try it, you might like it. I'm not going to promote it anymore.